Hi there, Sean Polston with Keller Williams, Southern Arizona, Tucson, shortsellnegotiator.com. Wanted to talk to you about short sell guidelines. This is actually a subject that I know a lot of people search for it out there on the web, and it's a subject that is enormous. There's a lot of definitions out there, and the first question when somebody asks me about, well, what are the short sell guidelines? Well, what kind of loan do you have? Do you have an FHA loan? Do you have a VA loan? Is it a conventional loan? Is the loan owned by Fannie Mae? Is the loan owned by Freddie Mac? Is it some other investor, institutional investor that owns the loan? Because all of these things factor into all these different entities have their own separate guidelines. And for me to give you all of these guidelines, this video would need to be a few hours long, and unfortunately YouTube doesn't let me do that. But one of the biggest things for you to, and especially when you're talking to an agent about helping you with this, especially if you want it to get done, is that agent familiar with the bank that owns your loan, the bank that's servicing your loan, the people that own your loan? Do you have VA mortgage insurance, FHA mortgage insurance on the property? Excuse me. How are these things going to affect you, and what are their guidelines? VA guidelines. For example, a VA short sale, if you're still in the home, they offer you $1,500 in relocation assistance. Here's the thing. The agent has to ask for it. If you hire an agent to help you and you have a VA loan that you'd like to do a short sale on, and they don't ask for that $1,500, the VA and the servicer don't automatically give it. It's something you have to ask for. Whereas, like with an FHA loan, for example, there is an automatic relocation incentive. It's less. It's either $1,000 during the first 60 days, $750 thereafter. And in either case, both of these are not an enormous amount of money, but in a lot of cases, it really is, for the situation a lot of our borrowers are in. It's very, very handy to have that check at the end of this. So, and then there's those two that have those guidelines. There's all kinds of smaller guidelines within those programs that, not being aware of or not knowing how to navigate around these guidelines, can cause success or failure with your short sale. And especially in the case of FHA. I mean, the FHA, a lot of these guidelines are from the 90s, the early 90s, and they've been around a long, long time. So if you're operating in this realm, there's no real good reason not to be aware of them, but at the same time, a lot of them are pretty dated compared to what we've gone through in recent years, although in the 90s we had an interesting real estate market as well. Then also, Bank of America has their own guidelines. Bank of America has cooperative short sale programs that will actually give you money at the end of the short sale. They have cooperative programs with Fannie Mae. If Fannie Mae is the one that owns a loan versus them owning the loan, is the agent aware of these guidelines and know how to ask the lender, hey, can they have this? Does this apply to them? I've seen situations where I've had lenders give borrowers $15,000 at the end of a short sale. I've had situations where they give them $750. I've had situations where, unfortunately, the borrower doesn't qualify for any of the programs and there's no incentive at all to do the short sale. However, a lot of this comes down to are the guidelines, are the program guidelines, and making sure that the person you're talking to is aware of the guidelines. Again, we don't have time to go into a tremendous amount of detail on all of these guidelines. However, in most cases, we can figure out who the investor is who owns your loan. Your loan's an FHA loan, VA loan. We'd love to sit down and talk with you, because we can explain the different processes and what you really can expect, if any of these programs may apply to you that are out there, and the time frames involved. I mean, a lot of this, if you have a Bank of America FHA loan versus a Wells Fargo FHA loan, the time frames in getting those two things done, even though they're both FHA loans, just by the people involved, are dramatically different. So it's real important that you talk to somebody that knows and understands the guidelines, and that you ask them. And one of the biggest things for you to look out for when that is the case, when you ask the question, is watch out for the answer. It's no different than any other short sale. If you ask the question and that's the answer you get, I'm telling you right now, you're talking to the wrong person. What that agent just told you is, I don't know. That's really the answer they just gave you, is they don't know. Because I can tell you there's big differences between all of these things, and success or failure can depend on your familiarity with these things. So I hope you're having a great day. I want to answer all your questions, so fill out my short sale request form at the top of the page, or just pick up the phone and give me a call, and we'll be talking soon.